All right, I hope everyone can see my screen okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so hi everyone and welcome to this presentation. I am going to talk about Uppsala University and our international application for a program starting autumn 2023. My name is Cecilia. I work at our Division for Internationalization, so basically our international office at the university. The agenda for today is I will start with a brief introduction of Sweden and Uppsala, both the city and the university. I will talk about the programs we offer, the application process, what the entry requirements are, and the scholarships that we offer. Uppsala is a rather small city, internationally comparing. However, we have a big university. We have about 230,000 people living in the city, which makes it the fourth largest in Sweden. About 50,000 of these people are connected with one of the two universities in the city. So in Uppsala, we have Uppsala University, of course, that I'm here to talk about, but we also have an agricultural university. Because of the high number of students and faculty in the city, it is a very student-friendly environment because students make up a large portion of the city. There's a lot of culture, sports, and entertainment that target specifically for students. The city is very well connected if you like to travel. It is about a 40-minute train ride from Sweden's capital, Stockholm. And the train ride to the airport Arlanda is about 15 minutes. And from Arlanda, which is Sweden's biggest airport, you can take airplanes to, well, the whole world, essentially. So if you like to travel, Uppsala is very well connected. In Uppsala, or at Uppsala University, we don't have one central campus. Instead, our campus areas are spread out through the city of Uppsala. You can see a map here on the left-hand side. You can also see the cathedral in Uppsala, which is one of the largest in Northern Europe, and also plenty of university buildings that are spread out all over the city. We also have a campus on the Baltic island of Gotland. This is our newest campus. So it used to be an independent university college, but it became part of Uppsala University in 2013. And at Campus Gotland, 20 departments are represented. So some departments have programs and courses and staff in both the city of Uppsala and on our Gotland campus. There's also one center, the Swedish International Center of Education for Sustainable Development. The city of Visby, which is the largest city on Gotland and the city where the campus is located, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a medieval city with a lot of old buildings, and here in the photograph to the right-hand side, you can see parts of the old city wall, which is also medieval. Gotland used to be a center for trade in the Baltic Sea. At Campus Gotland, we have 6 bachelor's programs and 6 master's programs, including programs in sustainable management, game design, archaeology, and wind power project management. And many of the programs that are offered on Gotland are related to sustainability, as you can see, sustainable management, wind power project management, and there's a center for sustainable development. Much of the work and research that goes on this campus is related to sustainable development. Uppsala University offers a very unique student life. In Sweden, Uppsala is known for its vibrant student life, and that is the reason why many students choose to come to Uppsala. We have 13 student nations, which is quite unique to Sweden and Uppsala specifically. It is a type of student organization that gathers, it used to be that students that were from all parts of Sweden, but in the 17th century, they couldn't travel home for, holidays, just go home over the weekend, take a bus or a train. they had to stay in the city, and so they had an interest in meeting people from the same parts of the country as themselves. So the student nations are based on geographic areas in Sweden. So there's a nation for people from Stockholm, there's a nation for people from the northern parts of Sweden, etc. Nowadays, anyone can join any student nation, but they still gather students and arrange activities. They're sort of like the student's second living room, and a way for students to meet people who don't study the same thing as themselves. We also have student unions. They do social activities, but also a lot of work revolving around your rights as a student. So they ensure that that your rights are being considered, and that you, if you have a problem, you can go to a student union. There are, as I already mentioned, many student activities in the city of Uppsala, a lot of student discounts, etc. And there's a lot of tradition because we're a very old university. There are a lot of student traditions that you can get involved in. Also, of course, just general organization based on your interest, and sports teams, of course. Looking at the Swedish classroom in general, it can be a little different than what some of our international students are used to. In Sweden, the classroom is usually very informal. In Sweden, we don't use titles. You don't call your professors Professor so-and-so. You always use their first name. So if you were to come to my office at the university, you would say Mrs. Tiscornia or whatever. Equality is very important in Sweden, and we treat each other the same regardless of whether you're a student or a professor. We expect students to spend 40 hours on studies per week, but not all of it will be spent in the classroom. You won't have lectures from 8 to 5 every day. Instead, you'll be expected to go through literature and study materials on your own, and then you go to class and should be prepared to discuss what you've read. And when you discuss what you've read, you should be prepared to be able to question your professors. And this is also the part about, well, a part informality, but also how we want students to learn. We want students to learn to analyze and reflect and discuss study material, not just memorize things and then repeat them in an exam. A lot of it is about analyzing materials and you speaking your own mind about the things that you learn. So when it comes to bachelor's programs, we have 6 programs. 3 of them are related to game design with 3 different specializations. And the other are related to energy transition, sustainable development in industrial engineering, and leadership, quality, and improvement. So as you can see, the sustainability theme is also present when it comes to our bachelor's programs. And all 6 programs are offered on our Gotland campus. The entry requirements for bachelor's is a completed high school or upper secondary education. Each program also has specific requirements. For example, some programs require an additional course in math. There are country-specific conversion scales when it comes to upper secondary courses and grades. So if you're unsure of whether you meet a requirement, you can send us an email and we will assist you. You also need to document English language proficiency for all of our programs that are taught in English. And I can just add that all the programs that I'm talking about today are offered entirely in English and don't require any Swedish language proficiency whatsoever. So it doesn't matter if you don't know a word of Swedish, you only need to know English for these programs. If you are in your final year of upper secondary school, you must wait until next year before you apply. Moving on to master's programs, we have quite a large number of programs, more than 100, and they are all taught, as I mentioned, entirely in English. All of our faculties offer at least one international master's program, but most of them several. I won't list them all here today, but they are in a wide range of subjects. And if you are interested, you're more than welcome to take a look at our program catalog on our website. The entry requirements for a master's program are a bachelor's degree equivalent to a Swedish bachelor's degree, a kandidatexamen. You should check the country-specific requirements for your country of study to make sure that you have a degree that is equivalent. There are also program-specific requirements to consider. Usually you need to have studied at least some credits in the subject of the master's program that you're applying to. So for example, if you want to study a program in law, you need to have studied law or legal studies during your bachelor's studies. We do have programs that are more general and don't require the bachelor's degree to be in a specific subject. For example, our master's in sustainable development. It welcomes students from all disciplines to get that mix in the classroom. Of course, English language proficiency is important. TOEFL and IELTS are our most common ways to document English language proficiency. But if you've studied in English in the past, maybe during your upper secondary school or during your bachelor's, you may be able to meet the requirement through your previous studies. Important to note that if you're applying to our master's program in English, so in the subject English, you need a higher TOEFL or IELTS to apply to a different program. If you are in your final year of bachelor's, you are welcome to apply, but since you don't have your diploma, you'll need to submit a different document instead called a statement of enrollment status, which is essentially your university saying, yes, this person will have graduated before the start of the master's. If you're not sure whether you meet the requirements, you can contact us, my colleagues and I, and we will assist you. In Sweden, we have a national application system through the website universityadmissions.se. So all Swedish universities use the same application system. In the application, you apply to up to 4 master's programs or 10 bachelor's programs. You rank them in order of preference. So the program that you're most eager to be admitted to is your highest, second is your second most eager, and so on. The 4 or 10 programs can be at different universities, all at the same university. It depends on what you're interested in. And you pay 1 application fee regardless of how many universities you apply to. 1, 4, it's the same. You, of course, need to document your eligibility. Usually you can upload everything to the application portal. Depending on where you've studied, maybe you've studied in the US, then you need to have transcripts sent via regular post directly from your university. And that is important to know because if your documents are submitted incorrectly, that may cause your application to be disqualified. So if there's any doubt, just send us an email and we will help you. The application deadline for autumn 2023 is 16th of January. You then have until 1st of February to submit your supporting documents, and the admission results will be published 30th of March and 5th of April, depending on whether you've applied to a master's or a bachelor's program. We offer scholarships for a select number of students every year. These scholarships cover the full cost of tuition fee, but not living costs. You apply for them online through our website. You're not automatically considered for these scholarships. An active application is required. The application for these scholarships is open 18th of January to 1st of February. We do not accept any late applications. And recipients for these scholarships are selected based on previous academic performance. So the higher your grades are, the better your chances are of receiving a scholarship through Uppsala University. And the results of the application are announced about the same time as the results. Moving on to PhD studies. At Uppsala University and at most Swedish universities, we regard PhD students as employees. So rather than attending a PhD program as a student, you are an employee at the university. You receive a monthly salary and do not pay tuition fee. Instead, we pay you, essentially. When applying to a PhD position, you apply directly to the department where you would be based. There's no central application period. Instead, PhD positions are announced continuously on our website. So keep an eye out on our website if you're interested in applying for a PhD. The main requirement is a master's degree, but then in addition, each department can decide their own requirements for the PhD position. Of course, you'll need sufficient English language proficiency as well if you're going to do a PhD in Sweden, because then the working language for you would be English. A PhD is 4 years of study and consists of courses and a dissertation. And doctoral students are usually offered some form of departmental service, such as administration or teaching for up to 20% of your time during these 4 years. And all available positions are listed on the website that you can see in the presentation. So as I mentioned, you apply directly to the department. There's no central application for the PhD. I would just like to wrap things up today with a little plug for our blog, Tag for Uppsala, where our current students write about their life. Students in Sweden. They share their perspectives on anything and everything. So things to do during a regular day. If you're worried about expenses, what to think about, what kind of milk to buy when you're at the supermarket. They write about pretty much anything. And then we, of course, also have an Instagram account called Study@UU, where our digital ambassadors post about their daily lives as international students. And you can also, through this account, you can interact with our ambassadors. So if you have questions about what it's like to be a student at Uppsala University, you can write a DM to our account and an ambassador will reply to you. That was everything I wanted to bring up today. I hope that I will get to see at least some of you at Uppsala University next year.